work on social emotional, the tiers of support. They did parent counseling, other counseling, mental health services, and they also received a grant from San Diego State University for higher education. Sorry, San Diego has quite a bit right here. They also helped with the SR rates for autism. They did some classroom presentations. They had a blue shirt day for the autism awareness, and they had a mental health awareness month. All right, so for South Bay, I actually have my co-chair up here, Melissa, who's going to give us an in-depth review of what they're doing. Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks, Rosemary. Can you all hear me? All right, great. So today I am going to present, with a little help from my friends, the boot camp they did this summer. Sorry, I have some notes here, so I'm going to look here and then I'll get to the presentation. At the last CAC meeting, I discussed that me as the CAC was going to present at the SPED boot camp that South Bay Union School District was doing, and all of you seemed a little excited to hear what that was going to be like, maybe bringing it to your district. So I had the honor to present with one of my other CAC parent reps, Elizabeth. She's not here today. Just going to give you a little bit of background about that, and then I'll invite up some of my colleagues to help. I'd like to thank Tom Bevilacqua for being such a collaborative partner. He had mentioned in one of our monthly meetings that this was coming up in the summer, and of course I was like, we want to be there, we want to present, and he opened it up to us, so that was really exciting. So thanks for being that collaborator, always listening to our ideas and thoughts, and we're very grateful. So what else did I want to say there? Yeah, the boot camp was an initiative started at Coronado Unified School District, so woo, Coronado, great. That's exciting, and obviously as Tom went into his role at South Bay, he wanted to bring this great training over there as well. So Mala or Tom, which one of you want to come up here and do the slides? Or feel free, if both of you want to come up. Yay, Tom, she's shy. Awesome, so I'm going to just pull up this.
I can just speak to it.
Oh my gosh, no.
The
The slides are so good. How do we get connected?
Right here.
I don't know how to get connected.
Click on that little world, the world thing.
I guess we should have done it.
And then go to.
I do want to say that we did borrow this idea from Coronado Unified School District, like Melissa shared. That's something that their director and team had put together a few years ago. As I came into the department, realized that we had a real need to set our special education staff off to be successful in the best way possible. Special ed staffing is a challenge that everybody is very, very well aware of, and I think that's the elephant in the room that we need to speak to. Most of the districts that we all represent have open positions, and a lot of the positions that we have that are filled are with interns. If anybody's not familiar with what an intern is, it's someone who has a college degree, they're in an intern program where they are gaining or eligible to receive their credential. Back in the day for us older folks, we used to have to go through student teaching where we had a mentor teacher, and that was a full semester of a college coursework, so we're talking 15 weeks. Now folks are getting that experience real time in a classroom of their own from, if you're in a mod severe setting, from 8 to 10 kids up to 28 kids on an RSP caseload, which may be itinerant, without the background that we were fortunate to have when we ventured into this profession. So seeing that we have a lot of interns and a lot of vacant positions, like what can we do to support staff to be as successful as possible and give them the tools that they can have to start the first few days of the school year. So Mala, our program specialist, and a couple of our coordinators had the blueprint from Coronado of what they did over the 2 days. This is our second year of it. And really the intent of it is to give real world tools and applications that they can put into practice in their classroom on day one. So some of it is very procedural in nature. So when we look at our special education information system, SACE is what we use. So case managers are understanding what's in an IEP, what services students are receiving, what percentage of time they're in and outside of general education, what their goals are, what their primary disability is, what their ethnicity is, their primary languages. So things like that, so they're able to prepare to support students on the first day of school. So the IEP development and legalities, right? So that document is the starting point that we have for all of our students with disabilities of how we are going to educate them. So really looking at that, giving them the tools of an IEP agenda or process guide, knowing the statutory requirements that case managers are expected to cover as they are receiving students on day one, and also ensuring that the supports that students are legally obligated to receive are in place to start the school year. Then there's some district-specific procedures, right? Each of our districts do a lot of things similarly, and thankfully we have the Selpa to be the guiding point of that. But there's also nuances as well. So some things that are specific to South Bay, which may look different than, say, in Coronado, which is a unified district that goes through high school. Sweetwater is a high school district only. Behavior supports. There's a lot of energy around student behavior, especially as we've transitioned back from COVID. So how are we able to support students in all aspects of their disability and ability? So the social emotional component to ensure that we have supports in place. Really focus on de-escalating student behavior and also being able to provide supports in a way with behavior visuals and visual schedules for our students with disabilities to ensure that we're looking at the accommodations page on their IEP. So if they have a visual schedule, if they have a sensory guide, those sorts of things that they're in place on day one. Assessments and accommodations, that's a huge piece of it from a couple of lenses, right? From the special education lens, that we are assessing in all suspected areas of disability. So are we meeting our statutory threshold on that piece of it? Are we having documentation to show that students are making progress towards their goals or not making progress, and what steps do we need to take? And then we have our statewide requirements, right? So for our kiddos who are English learners, of what that looks like in the LPAC component of things. For our students in grades 3rd and above with the statewide testing for CAC, like do we properly outline the accommodations and modifications that students are entitled to based on their present levels of performance. And then instructional tools, right? That's a big component of it. We are here, our primary goal is to educate students. So we have the case management responsibility, and then we have the educational component, which what resources do we have as a district to support students in achieving their goals? And that's going to look different everywhere. We have our board adopted core curriculum, so folks are having access to that component of things, and that's the foundation of what teachers are expected, required by board policy, by EDCO, to provide students access to grade level standards based on board adopted core curriculum. And then we have the supplemental resources, right? So those are above and beyond resources that we have as a school district to provide to our staff that they can have access to ensure that students are reaching their goals. The other thing we did this year, which was well received, is we tied CPI, so crisis prevention and intervention, into our boot camp. So our new staff were prepared on day one, really with those de-escalation strategies. CPI is the county-wide program that we look at supporting students when they're having behavioral challenges or regulation challenges, with the primary focus being on de-escalating that situation, right? To keep that student safe and keep the staff safe. And then also there's a piece of it where if we ever do have to put hands on a student for student safety and staff safety, there's a proper way to do that to ensure that our staff is trained. So that was kind of an overview of the 2 days, and there was a lot of questions in between. It was very, very interactive. I know Mala is shy in this setting. Together in a group of interns or new teachers, she absolutely thrives. And not only did we just have it to our interns, we opened it to all staff because we really believe in that cycle of continuous improvement, that there's always the opportunity to learn. And if you get a group of like-minded folks together, whether it's your first year or 20th year, you're going to add something to that room. You're going to be able to do something as well. Here's just a schedule of what we went over the first few days with that piece of it. It's a rough outline again because we wanted to ensure that we were meeting the folks where they were at. It was our best guess based on feedback that we had from years past. Also based on looking at the resumes and applications and the conversations we have had with our intern folks I think you have a copy of this slide deck, so it can be shared out. I mean, you can take pictures as well, but it's for public consumption, so if you want to share that out in the city, feel free to do so. Some of the highlights in there, we did like CAC, we did Jeopardy, which was kind of fun, right? So just to try to make it interactive and entertaining and fun for folks. But really a lot of it was focused on the behavior piece and the compliance and the structural component was the meat of the duties. Here's the folks that attend. So the first year we had about 20 folks. This year we had about 45, so it's doubled. And again, we are probably similar to most districts in here that there was a lot of turnover with special education staff. One of our joint goals with student services and human resources is not only the recruitment of staff, but it's the retention piece. And this is one of the pieces that we want to ensure. We want to ensure that we're able to retain the folks that we have. One of the other pieces with interns, typically there's an agreement with the agency that is authorizing their credential. We currently have 3 agreements, but there's a lot of support that goes to the intern teachers as well. So Mala spends a lot of her days and mandatory hours of providing support to these folks. So we are investing in the intern piece, and they're investing in us, so we want to retain them. So we're glad to see that that has increased. We hope that we get to a point where staffing is very stable and we only lose folks to retirement. But I don't know if we're going to see that in the near future. So who presented? We had 2 of our coordinators presented. Mala presented as well. We have an MTSS coordinator who really is focusing on those tier 2 interventions as a function of general ed, but students with disabilities are general ed kids first. So we really try to hammer that home to all of our staff within the district, that special ed is not a silo over here, but they're general ed kids first, and they have access to and an absolute right to all the resources of general ed students as well. And then also another piece of it that we really find valuable is using the experts in the room. So our current psychologists, speech folks, ed specialists who want additional leadership roles or responsibilities, so we offer them the opportunity to present in an area that they are interested in or that they want to grow in or share as well. So we've had some folks over the years. This year we've had a couple more than we have in the past. But getting it from colleague to colleague is also very interesting. And then feedback, it has been very positive. I think the real measure of this is going to be how long folks stay with us and stay in the profession. And I think it's obviously a lot of new people who are like, okay, this is a great introduction to the district, because other than that, they're getting the blanket new employee orientation, which is very, very global. It's a 30,000-foot view of, hey, here's how you call in sick, here's how you put in vacation days, here's where you get paid, here's the work calendar, that's piece. But you know, the feedback has been very, very positive based on the last 2 years. And we're going to continue to refine it every year, and we're going to beg, borrow, and steal from our neighboring districts who do this as well, because there's really no need to reinvent the wheel as well. So if you have ideas out there, please share them with Melissa or the Selpa folks here. And our goal is really ultimately to support students and students with disabilities, and supporting our staff and our parents in that piece. And we're moving in the right direction.
Great, and I have some slides too, but does anybody have questions about anything that Tom presented on before he takes the seat? I mean,
Ah, no, tiene que ser el
Really, all
board,
the staff, I
sorry.
did very little with it, but we just told
No
you,
puede la
and
gente
I have a
preguntar
great
preguntas,
team
creo.
behind me
Ah.
who really
Y esta
puts in the
pregunta
brand,
es,
but
¿dónde chingados
yeah, we're
trabajas?
gonna-
Y
so
me quedo dentro. ¿Qué no tienes licencia?
Yeah, so we have our
es
collective
maestro,
bargaining
no es
agreement, so I'm not gonna talk
maestro.
negotiations too much,
Pero
but
es
we
de
do have
Coronado.
that
Pues yo creo
component
que
where
es
they
de
were
Coronado, pero se
compensated
fue
for their
Selpa.
time.
Su tramo todo
So
soy
it is a
Coronado. Esta
voluntary
es la
piece, so it
presentación
wasn't
en
required or mandatory, but it was strongly encouraged. So for all of our interns, as you see, it's doubled in length, and you know, we do have a group of core folks who are absolutely outstanding and very, very knowledgeable and happy to pay it forward. And again, we do what we can. You know, I'll provide some release time and out of contract pay for them to prepare for this, and I do budget for that. And I will share that executive team, you know, so the executive cabinet who I report to and present these proposals to are absolutely supportive, because the alternative is, as you're all aware, and I won't go on the soapbox too long, is we're either hiring agency folks who come and go or stay as long as they want, or we have substitute positions. So really, really, I would say that our superintendent's board do have a desire to recruit and retain folks. And I have set some budgetary dollars aside for things like this to support them, and with our program specialist and really advocating for it being a huge, huge need, not only within our district, but I know
Program
statewide.
specialist.
So it's not mandatory, strongly encouraged, and she does a great job at selling it to our new folks and interns.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to commend you as a retired teacher of 40 years. I think this is a wonderful idea. I do attend a lot of meetings with special ed as an advocate, and I know that there's a lot of new teachers that sort of like, they just got hired and they sit there and they're looking at their partner to see, what do I do, what do I say? So this is a wonderful idea, especially for I call them the new babies, because
They are.
hired. And so if they come into the workforce without really having the knowledge, like you said, coming out of the university, if they get, because special ed is such a high demanding area right now, especially if you're bilingual, that they don't really realize what all of this encompasses. So they give up sometimes and they leave. And they don't want to be in special ed, even though they're wonderful teachers, but they just want to go to general ed. So this is a wonderful idea, and I think every district, especially the South Bay, should. And I'm not saying because I know marketing, I've been involved in all of that. To me, it should be a requirement, to be honest with you, of every single new teacher, special ed, that they go through your because even to know what exactly an
Not just
IEP,
special ed.
is all about,
I
a lot of our people do not know.
Yeah, that's a collective bargaining piece, and that's a whole interesting component, especially where I'm right now in South Bay. Are you interested in coming out of retirement?
No, they
Since you put it out there, I would ask.
No, I'm very proud to be a special ed advocate for parents and children. So that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Tom.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna run through
Okay,
my
excellent.
slides.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. When we entered, Molly had a great group. There was new folks, there was, veteran teachers, and even though it was a long day, they were like one of the last presentations. They were excited, they were listening, they were engaging, so kudos to you all for what you did. So I'm just gonna quickly run through what we talked about in case you have opportunity to talk at your district. So this
Wait,
one
las
slide,
pendejas que
I
ponen.
have a flyer that I gave out to all of the teachers and the staff that were there, who we are as the CAC.
¿Se mirará
QR
bien?
code,
Sí.
where they could contact
Déjame
us,
porque con eso que hice
as
zoom.
well as kind of just
Voy a
like a
checar.
little bit of a blurb about what the CAC is.
Algo más.
Obviously, we're going to our goals for what the
Es que
CAC
luego
is.
sí se
I
mira.
bolded the words that I wanted to really jump out, such as support, community, education, supporting the special needs community. And then I wanted to really hone in on these numbers at the bottom, because I think at the last, was it like April meeting or May meeting, we talked about how large the South County, Selpa and the schools that we're supporting is. So I wanted to make sure that the group knew that we have a lot of voices, a lot of parents who are coming to us, and a lot of representation. Then I talked a little bit about the committees that we're all a part of. I'm sure you're familiar with this. So kind of just giving a sense of what we're working on. We're not just here to have folks come and kind of tell us what's going on with their children or their families, but also we're trying to get some, documentation, some training, a handbook together. So this is what we're working on outside of the meetings that we do have. And then we talked a little bit about how can we collaborate, how can we, work together. Hosting IEP workshops, creating like a special education FAQ sheet, because a lot of parents who are newly diagnosed or new to the system, they don't really know what the process is or who to talk to or who to go to, and there's a lot of anxiety and fears about the process. And I was getting a lot of heads nodding, saying, yes, this is good, we love this. Utilizing the newsletters, if your districts do have that, to get information out, spotlight staff, spotlight the students and what they're doing in the classroom, and then also just like thanking the staff. There's certain days like Speech Pathologist Day, National Psychologist Day, and really like spotlighting them and thanking them for the work they're doing. So that was something we talked about. By this point, we were getting kind of tough on time, but I did ask the groups, what are some common requests you might hear from families? What kind of support do you need? And some of the things that came up were, and a lot of the teachers provided me like cards with some ideas. They said such things as host IEP workshops for parents, host events like an end of the year lunch for students, help parents through the IEP process and what the realistic expectations are, help parents parent their SPED students at home, and some provided resources for workshops and said they would be happy to host a workshop as well. So that was really exciting. I got some contact information from the folks in the room. So they were engaged and they were excited to see that we were there discussing things as well. And then I did provide some resources, some links. Our district special education site that has a bunch of new updated parent resources and Selpa links. A lot of the stuff that you talked about with the Padlet, all those great resources and PDFs are also on our website as well. And then the Community Advisory Committee website, the Flourishing Families Resource Guide. And I did mention that we had this calendar of events that is still in its infancy stages, but that we're really trying to showcase what's going on in the community for special needs families, whether it's trainings, conferences, as well as just events for families to bring their children to. And then, of course, on the back of my handout, I had all of our meetings, trying to make sure we can get people here, what the dates are, the times, locations, and I think there's also a QR code on the flyer for them to click on that as well. And then we thanked everybody for all the incredible work they do, and they also had access to this presentation if they wanted to access any of the links or contact us. I think that was it. And so hopefully, if you like what you saw today, it sounds like a lot of you did. You can maybe bring this back to your district, and hopefully next year we'll be talking about other districts who are doing this at their schools. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa. Melissa and I asked that as CAC members that you meet quarterly with your district special education director to share any feedback such as above, and bring it back to us so we can highlight some of the good work you're doing. This meeting featured South Bay, but I'd like to feature another district in the future. I also wanted to introduce, we had some members come in. So we have America Ellis here from National, and then Marjam, is it Lopez? From National as well. And then I also wanted to introduce, right back here, we actually have a board member from Chula Vista. Oh, we do? Okay. Oh, okay, so we have Delia Dominguez Cervantes. Oh, and I see we have Kenya Peraza from San Ysidro. Thank you. I really appreciate seeing board members out here. Thank you both of you. Okay, any other, let's see. No, we're gonna move over to subcommittee updates. Oh, sorry. I messed up my one. Yep, hold on, 1 sec. I think I skipped something. Okay, we currently have several open seats for parents and educators. Just a reminder that per our bylaws, any member who is not present for 2 consecutive meetings without their appropriate excusal will be removed from the CAC. And we also have, for new updates, we water seated a new member, Judy Moyer. And I know Judy and Sally will be working with their director to fill their open meetings. Moving to subcommittee. This is our current subcommittees and its members. Currently, we have updates on 2 subcommittees, student inclusion. They updated their survey. They finalized it, and currently it's going to be updated into Spanish. And once translated, it will move on to the Selpa newsletter and then also be distributed to the directors. Melissa, do you want to take over for the handbook?
I can just, yeah. feedback from the Survey Monkey. I'm totally forgetting, was it 330? 330 people who took it, yeah, thanks for remembering that. So we met and divided the handbook tasks as follows. So these are the categories we're currently looking at. Selpa overview, which Jade will be taking over, which will include local plan for special education. CAC roles and responsibilities, including the CAC meetings, which will be myself, as well as there.
Los public comments son hasta el último, Karina.
The special education process, including
que me
IEP versus 504
pensé que era
plan.
al
That's
principio.
currently a vacant seat, so hopefully I'll talk about that a little bit later about what that will look like. Parent rights is Jade, and frequently asked questions is Rosemary with some incredible templates that I know you'll have. And contact us is also me. You can go to the next slide. This is just a survey results at a glance, because it's been a few months since we met last, right? So this was kind of what we received from the survey. So the majority of folks who took the survey were from the elementary and or high school, and they were parents or guardians. What are they looking for? A comprehensive guide with detailed information in a website or digital download format, and they're looking for that to be in both English and Spanish. And the major areas of focus that came out were special education and IEP process, available resources and services, developing goals, and understanding accommodations. And then in our next meeting, which will be in November 18th, each of our subcommittee members will share their draft on their assigned section. So we've already started making some progress, it's looking good, and I hope you all like what you see in November. I think that's it for me.
So in November, we expect to have our draft handbook, and so we'll present that when we have that. All right, so now I have a few motions. In order to ensure that we remain robust and not complacent in our important work, we're going to be voting on some motions to help our subcommittees remain the most efficient it can be.
I move to combine staff education and parent education to staff and parent education.
Do we have a second? Any questions on? So we're going to be doing some changes to the subcommittee. So essentially what we're going to be doing, what we're expecting to do, is we're going to consolidate staff, the staff and parent, make it into one. Because currently we just have you or both of you in one committee, and then I think the other committee is a little stagnant. Then we have the community inclusion or community involvement. That one, we're going to try to close it off. And then we're going to be moving around some people. Looks like you have questions.
I'm just thinking, I've got a lot of the staff and parent education stuff myself.
You're just working to combine so that
Yeah.
people to support.
Yeah, but.
Right, so-
When it was like for two of us, I had a bunch.
Yeah, so you'll have to transfer it over. So some of our committees had either inactive members, we had some committees that were stagnant, didn't have updates for some time. We have some subcommittees that have nobody there. Because Sweetwater, for instance, has a few open seats. So we're moving things around, but then I could only have 2 districts in each committee to not have quorum. So this is the only way to be able to move it around so that we could have, either a robust committee, a committee that's meeting actively, and just have the correct amount of district representations. Yeah. Okay, any other questions for motion number 1? Because we're gonna do this in a few motions.
Melissa motion for
Yes.
Or second.
Mhm. Okay, so the motion is to combine staff education and parent education into staff and parent education. So that'll become one committee. All those in favor of adoption say aye.
Es que como los
All those opposed say no.
Lo primero hacer la motion.
The ayes have it, motion
Tiene que
adopted.
secundar y luego ya todo
I move to
votación.
dissolve the community involvement subcommittee. a scope of work is being absorbed.
Solo va a ser los movimientos council y la actividad
Okay.
como un lenguaje.
So, just to discuss it prior, so essentially, we're going to be dissolving it because we as the CEC are gonna be taking this on.
So cuando dice
It doesn't need a separate subcommittee, this will just be a joint function of the CEC. Any questions prior to voting? Okay, the motion is to dissolve the Community Involvement Subcommittee as its work will be absorbed into the ongoing functions of the CAC. All those in favor of adoption say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, motion adopted.
I move to reassign the subcommittee district members as follows. CAC handbook will be Chula Vista Elementary School District and Santa Clara School District. Student inclusion subcommittee will be Sweetwater Union High School District and Coronado Union School District, and staff and parent education will be National School District and Southfield Union School District.
Do we have a second? We can discuss
Are there
it.
any questions?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand. So anybody who sits in San Ysidro will be on the committee.
Yes. Mhm.
Anybody who wants to start.
Yes, and then we have just the three now. So we have the CAC handbook, student inclusion, and then staff and parent education.
So,
Mhm.
for example, I've been working a lot in the student inclusion, I'm gonna be part of that.
No, you'd be moving over. So that was something we received feedback is we wanted to have some changes in the committees, just to keep it more engaged. And then also considered personalities, who would work really well together, those kind of things in forming these. With keeping in mind, we can't have quorum, so we can only have two at a time. I didn't want any smaller districts to be paired up because it'd be a smaller committee. Yeah,
You're correct, and you lost one.
yes,
So,
yeah, so, yeah. And essentially, we just wanted to keep moving. Last year, we didn't have that many updates that we would have liked to see, so we just want to make sure that it stays moving, it's not stagnant, that we're able to keep the engagement going, essentially. And if anybody has any strong feelings after the vote, or they're not gelling with their members, that's something we could work on for the next meeting.
And me and Rosemary had to kind of rework it because we already are in the rules, so, kind of got a little.
Yeah, we had to leave our committee, so essentially, since we're the chair and vice chair, we had to leave our committee, and, we had to fill it, but also keep in mind, we couldn't have quorum by filling it. Mhm. Okay, any other questions before we do a vote on this? And I think you guys are gonna end up liking it, you're gonna like your committees. I know there's a little nervousness, but you guys will like the committees. There was thought put into it, especially. Yes, it's a shift.
It's a lot to do.
Yes.
But this is a good,
Yes.
definitely.
And we appreciate all the work you've done so far on your committee.
Is there, since there is going to be so much information transfer from your parents and everything.
Yeah, the CAC handbook is gonna be a lot too.
Working meeting where we actually
Or,
transfer that information and where we would go.
Well, all the subcommittees aren't able to meet in
have
between
an eye
meetings.
on it.
So you guys are,
But it's not just a subcommittee, it's like, it's the two of us, one, two different.
so what I recommend is one of you transfer that information to one person on the other committee so you don't have a quorum.
Yeah, it has to be on with one person.
Yeah.
can meet with the whole group because then it's fine.
So for instance, if we had to transfer information, which our group, we still have a couple of people in there, but if we had to, I'd have Melissa meet with just one person on there, a one-on-one meeting so it doesn't be quorum, just transfer that information.
Público se porque las subcommittees son los mismos,
I couldn't meet with,
Both of us, yeah,
I can only meet with one of them.
Dilo tú, Pablo.
so we don't.
Ya yo quería ver de qué iba a hablar.
And that's
Pero
what's
sé
a
que hay
little
un
hard
perro
about
de
here,
noche.
we have 6 districts, so
Ya medio lo
there's,
tengo.
it's very, yeah, we don't want to accidentally
Yo soy más excited
bring
con la del
in any of
rato.
those.
Yeah.
around.
Me parece que ay no, me acordé. I
Yes,
know
go
you're
ahead.
kind of mentioning about it. Mira, dije, mira, voy a poner
District
el video.
meeting,
Yes,
that's four.
yes,
So it has to be 2 districts.
max of 2,
That can be outside of.
and just 2 representatives, really.
CAC handbook va a
You
ser más
know,
trabajo que las demás.
Because even if you're a single person, you're considered a
Pero la
representative.
Rosemary anda de trabajar desde el año que viene pasado. I think she'll do fine.
That's
Ya
fine,
tiene
because
mucho
you guys
que
are in the
ir
same
aquí.
district, that's two.
Pero
We
lo
wouldn't
bueno
be
que
able
se
to
van
have
con...
that.
¿Ya viste? Como...
Yes, we can't do that.
Ah, bajito la mano, bajito la mano.
And this isn't a reflection of anybody's work, everybody's doing good work. This is just based on feedback of some stagnancy. We just want to mix it up essentially. And we had to take into account the districts for that. Yeah, there's a couple different ways where I tried to keep it, where some people try to stay within their old one, but then I couldn't do it without meeting quorum. Okay, any other questions? If you have questions, that's okay. Any questions before voting? Okay. The motion is to reassign the subcommittee district members as described prior. All those in favor of adoption say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
I'm sorry, who seconded that? Did you second that motion? I think you did, I wrote that wrong. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. The ayes have it, motion adopted. Do you want me to assign leads now, or do you guys want to discuss that within your groups? Discuss? Okay. So within your groups, you can discuss the lead, and the reason why I like the lead is because I'm gonna be asking the lead to provide us information for our slides. To essentially be sending it
Vice
to
chair.
Melissa or myself by the
La que nos
first,
perdimos.
by the next meeting date.
And you just have like an
Qué bueno, ¿no?
Yeah, let's do an interim lead.
just so that you
Okay.
have someone with a comment.
Okay, so the interim lead for student inclusion will be Sally. You're okay with that? The interim lead for CAC handbook, I was actually thinking Jade. I know she couldn't be here today, but she should be able to.
I know, poor. Just a handful.
For staff and
I know, but
paraeducation,
no big
are you okay to take that lead for now? And it's just interim, you guys can decide amongst yourselves who you want to be the point person. And the point person, really, they're just in charge of giving us back the slides of what you're doing so we can present what you're, essentially, what's going on. I do ask that the interim sends an email to Melissa with your first meeting date by the 29th, just so we know that it's scheduled to get the ball rolling. Okay, and just a reminder, subcommittees are expected to meet quarterly, present the progress at the following week's meeting for inclusion in our slide deck. All right, moving on to the next one. Melissa.
CAC bylaws. I move to review the CAC bylaws for any updates or revisions.
To review.
Do we have a second? Okay, so essentially, I just want to speak on this. If this motion passes, then we will be reviewing the bylaws, and then we're going to present the potential updates, essentially the red lines, at the next CAC meeting for your review and approval, but also for public feedback. We can decide that. Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't need to be a motion, that could be something, as long as it's not three.
Motion.
Yeah, we'll have two different districts on it. Any questions?
So what do we have? Are we all individually reviewing and this line? What does that look like?
We could do that. So I was actually thinking of just having two district members and then coming back with you guys with the red lines. But if you think that is a better idea, we could ask for individual red lines to find them. I know.
No, we should have like 2 points, and if you have anything that you feel strongly,
Then come prepared for the.
I would
Yes.
say send it to us to
Mhm.
the.
Yeah, because it will be reviewed. It'll be reviewed in, essentially out in the public. We'll go through those red lines.
Even better.
PTA wise, there's usually a bylaws review committee,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not sure if you want to consider having that.
We could, but we only have two districts involved because of the whole board.
I would suggest that we all look over the bylaws, come prepared anyway, but also forward those, concern questions to whoever that two districts on the subcommittee. At hoc. There we go. We'll call that an ad hoc. For bylaw review, send your concerns, questions, suggestions to the ad hoc.
Yes, because we, per our bylaws right now, we need, so if we approve this today, we need to have those red lines ready for the next meeting.
Do we want to set a date by like when we need to email someone?
Yes, so we could send that out to you guys, we won't have to vote on it this meeting, but we'll send out a, yeah, we'll have one person send it. This is just allowing us to open it up, because we have to vote to say, yes, we are going to open them up to review.
In that case, a second.
Okay.
But I second the caveat that we do have an ad hoc.
An ad hoc committee of two districts sometime. Okay, let's go ahead and take the vote. So, the motion is to review the CC bylaws for any updates or revisions. All those in favor of adoption, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it, motion's adopted. For the ad hoc committee, I think you would really want to be on it. Well, you're getting voluntold. You're getting voluntold. Any other districts very interested? Ad hoc, AD, HSC.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very defined focus,
No, it's just
short-term
the same
focus.
way.
Aunque no, se ve, eso se
It's
puede.
essentially the same. Anybody, any other district that really wants to take it on? If not, I will take it on with Erica as the Lowry team. Okay. I feel like a big gap. Okay, sounds good. So we will be part of that ad hoc committee.
I like her.
And then the Lowry revision.
She's
All right, now moving on.
she's amazing. I really like her. She's a good advocate.
Oh, there you go. Yep, okay. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of reading because there's so many motions. Okay, next motion.
CAC social media. I move to establish and maintain a CAC social media page to improve communications and engagement with parents, staff, and the community.
So, a second.
Eso sabe.
Okay. So essentially, if this motion passes, then the chair will be responsible for establishing and maintaining the social media page. So we essentially want to have a social media page like some other CACs do. I believe there's like in Orange County, I believe North County Consortium has one as well. So we'll be establishing an Instagram page, and we're going to be posting any events for your districts on there, anything going on with Selpa on there. So we'll just have some more communication with our community that way. Any questions prior to voting?
Who decides what we're on?
The chair, and then Selpa probably send over some things. I think it'd be strong to have the chair do it, just to ensure that nothing kind of gets put on us. It shouldn't. And then next year, we could decide if we want to keep it the chair or if somebody strongly wants to do that. Okay, any other questions prior to voting? Okay, so the motion is to establish a CAC social media page to improve communication and engagement with parents, staff, and community. All those in favor of adoption say aye. Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it, motion adopted. All right, so now we're past the motions. We're gonna get into our South County Community Calendar. Any community calendar announcements for upcoming events will be placed into that CAC social media page, so I expect that to be up and running now that we've approved it very quickly, and we'll be posting on there. Some upcoming events that we'd like to share is CBSD is actually having this year an upcoming 5-part parent workshop, specifically for our community. The first one is on executive functioning, and it's going to be this week. Now, it's for CBSD, but if we have other parents there, I've never seen anybody turned away. They're really great. So they have a vendor called Brain Balance that comes on, and they come in, they put this workshop on, and you just learn so much. At the last meetings that we had, I learned so much about how my child is developed, you know, where her brain's at versus her physical body, and I realized like the way I'm talking to her, you know, those expectations, you want to maybe change them up a little bit. So they're really great. And here's the rest of the series, so. After that, we have an anxiety. One that I'm super excited about is sensory processing struggles. So we're gonna be getting, I think all of us here could use some advice here. We're also gonna be doing managing meltdowns and behavior, another great one. And then the developing brain and learning success is one they had last year. That was the one that was really good, that triggered in me, hey, like as a parent, I need to be maybe seeing where my child's mental age is versus her physical age. And for any information for any other districts who maybe want to put on the same kind of thing, you can email our comms office to see maybe how you could partner up to do something similar. Oh, and just our meeting dates, if anybody wants to take note of our meeting dates. Your districts also have received this recently, so they should be putting this out. We will now take any public comments. Individual speakers will be allowed